What about the Indian authorities? Are you surprised that India hasn't gone into a full national lockdown?
Well, I have recommended publicly in various interviews on more than one occasion that they should lock down. I don't think, I mean, there's always a reluctance to lock a country down. Uh, I'm not talking about locking down for 6 months. I'm talking about locking down temporarily for a few weeks to try and interrupt the cycle and the chain of transmission. I believe if they do that and interrupt, at least partially, that chain of transmission, they could then start getting on track of getting even a better control of the outbreak. So I have recommended that publicly to them on a couple of occasions.
Here in Australia, we have some of our state premiers who shut down borders and their own economies after just one case is recorded. Does that sound like an overreach to you, bearing in mind that you're dealing with some 50,000 new cases every day still?
Well, shutting down is always a painful thing. I mean, when we shut down partially, we never really shut down completely. There was always some activity going on. When we shut down partially, there was a lot of pushback from people because of the potential economic repercussions of that. It's not something easy, but occasionally you really have to do it if you want to interrupt the chain of transmission.
You want to have at least 70% of Americans to be vaccinated by July 4. Is that at about the point that you think you'll reach herd immunity?
Herd immunity is an elusive concept. I mean, there's the concept of herd immunity, which means you get enough individuals who vaccinated plus the number of people who are infected, recovered, and now have durable immunity. And the combination of that two leads to a blanket or a veil of protection where the virus has no place to go because they can't find, or it's difficult to find, susceptible subjects. That is the concept of herd immunity. The threshold of herd immunity, namely what the number is, what percentage that is, we do not know the answer for SARS-CoV-2. We know the answer for measles because we have decades of experience with measles, but we don't know what it is for SARS-CoV-2. So rather than chase an elusive number that we're not sure of, I've always said and continue to say that the best thing to do is to vaccinate as many people as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. I made a guesstimate that the number would likely be somewhere around 70 to 85%. I believe that the president's goal of 70% of Americans getting at least one dose by the 4th of July is a challenging goal, but I believe it's doable, and I believe we will be successful in reaching it.
Do you think boosters are going to be needed every year?
I think it is entirely conceivable that we will need to boost, not necessarily every year, but we may need to intermittently boost to keep the level of the duration of the protection high enough to be over the baseline critical level below which you can wind up getting rebounding of infection. So I think it's quite conceivable that we will need boosters at some time.
Okay, I've just got two more questions, Doctor. The US still hasn't approved AstraZeneca. It is available for those aged over 50 here. Do you back it?
Well, I'm waiting for our FDA, our regulatory body, to look at the data and to make a determination as to the safety and the efficacy. Interestingly, AZ has not yet submitted that data to the FDA. So it isn't that the FDA is delaying making a decision. It's that the company has not yet submitted the information that's needed to get an EUA.
And just finally, what is the biggest challenge that we all face over the course of the next year?
I think the challenge that we face is to get as many people vaccinated as we possibly can. There is this element of vaccine hesitancy among some people who don't want to get vaccinated for one reason or other. I think it's critically important that we reach out to them, not in a finger-pointing way, but in trying to get them to understand why it's important for their own health for the health of their families, and for really the societal responsibility of the health of the community. If we can get those people vaccinated, we'll be in good shape.
And what about transmissible variants?
Well, obviously, there's always something that you have to be concerned about. You have to keep your eye out on it. The best way to prevent variants from emerging is to stop the virus from replicating. The best way you stop the virus from replicating is by vaccinating as many people as you possibly can.
Okay, Dr. Anthony Fauci, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us here this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good to be with you.